All right. I'm live and I still haven't figured out how to schedule this thing ahead of time. So we may or may not get anyone joining us today. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I just put the link in here. So there. Let's see if we can get this going. I'm going to leave this window open and go to Facebook. And we'll go to the oh yeah, we're live in the group. Okay. So here is the link if you want to join. It's in the Facebook group. And there. Okay. What's up, people? Thank you. Thank you. You can hear me. Good. This is, well, sort of the Restoration Rebel Roundtable for the 25th of October, 2023. I'm in my car because I don't have a good spot at my house to do these things. So we will see how this goes. The Restoration Rebel commitments, I don't want to go find them in here, but let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head. Number one, I will protect the value of my services. Number two, shoot.
Phone disconnected.
Number three is I do not believe in competition. And number four is I am willing to walk away from any project or contract is not compatible with me or my stated mission. What is number two? Somebody help me. Anyway, let's see if we can get some people in the room. Otherwise, it's going to be a kind of a boring show. I had an email from a client today, this afternoon, and he had an adjuster demanding that he show his subcontractor costs in order to justify overhead and profit markup. And he asked me, can an adjuster ask for these things? My answer was yes. An adjuster can ask for whatever the hell they want. They can ask for the moon and the stars, but it doesn't obligate you to give them what they're asking for. So when an adjuster says we can't justify overhead and profit markup without your subbids, that is a lie. That is just a game. They're trying to get you to show your costs. Well, you don't have a contract with the adjuster or the carrier. There's no agreement in place that you show your costs. Hey, Mr. Larson, there we go. What's up, Mr. Maui?
Hey, how's it going? I made it.
You made it. I made it barely. I'm trying to schedule these things, but the StreamYard I don't have it figured out yet. So we're just gonna do it one at a time, 1 week at a time. So let me finish my thought here. Do you have to show your sub costs? Do you have to show your bids or your project costs to adjusters? And the answer is unequivocally no. You don't owe them your costs. If you think that if you are naive enough to think that once you provide those costs, they're somehow going to use them to your benefit and not to your detriment, you're wrong. The only reason adjusters are asking for these things is so they can use them against you and justify paying you less. And that is just the name of the game. And overhead and profit is not an optional thing. Overhead and profit is not subjective. Overhead and profit is something that you have to make as a contractor in order to stay in business and reinvest in your business. So showing your subs is just giving the adjuster one more way to pay you less, and I don't advocate you do that. What do you think, Rob? You think an adjuster can call you and say, "Oh, well, I need to see your cost before I can pay you on this"?
Yeah, I haven't had that happen too often to myself, but yeah, usually not. I agree with you that they're trying to find another reason to battle the cost, which you know, uh, old school me would do that, and new school me is like, I'm the client's customer, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this ain't a battle.
Yeah, you wouldn't show the adjuster your sub bids and your sub costs and your material costs, just like you don't. Man, my truck keeps turning on and off here. You don't owe your. You shouldn't. You shouldn't be in a position where you have to justify those things to your client, right? Clients understand that you don't work for a cost at cost. You do. You might have somebody else do that work as a subcontractor, but that cost is going to get marked up because that's what you do. You're a contractor. So you don't owe your sub bids to your client either. And I would say a client that's asking for those things is probably a client that's doing the same thing the adjuster's doing, trying to find a way to pay you less. That's just what it comes down to. Mr. Spears, what's up, brother?
Not much, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, it's cold here.
Did your old lady
Finally.
pick you out for the meeting or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I don't want to hear them fools talking. Get out.
I got a couple a 13 and a 14-year-old in the house just going crazy. So,
Makes sense.
but this is the quietest. This is my fortress of solitude, my F-150.
Is there snow outside?
Not yet. No, but it's cold. It's probably going to snow tonight. It is going to be super cold here. Yeah, we get these. I don't know if you're familiar with what these things are, Rob, but they're called seasons.
Yeah, I have one season here.
No, it's not super hot. It's like 85, like 80, 85, right? That's about just solid.
It depends on the season, but yeah. Sometimes it's up 90s, but yeah, over in Kona where I live, during the winter time, Mauna Kea might get snow on it, and so some mornings it's like you wake up, it's like 60 degrees, and that's freezing. So
yeah, 60 degrees is cold for you guys. Super cold.
The AC set to 72, and that's cold. So anything below that is even more cold.
Oh man. So the fires. I have some friends that I went to high school with that got a property in Lahaina that didn't burn, but they said they were finally able to go back in, but they didn't have electricity yet. So is that still a slow motion train wreck over there in Lahaina?
Yeah, they're opening up more areas and allowing people to go back up. I think the Kula had like 19 or 20 homes that were damaged. That starting this week. And like last minute, the Army engineers awarded that to another company on Oahu. So that's a smaller one. But yeah, that one's I think starting or has started. They started going there to do testing.
Wait, a fire on Oahu?
No, on Maui. So Maui had like the 3 fires. The Kula, I think 20 homes got destroyed, and then Lahaina is when the main devastation.
Okay.
So the EPA is all out of Kula now. Phase 2 starting there. They're all in Lahaina now.
Okay. Well, they might get back in there one of these days, hopefully. Oh, that is so frustrating. That the lack of action would be super frustrating. Like if I had a property there and you can't go there, you can't do anything, and even the guys that are getting in, they don't have any electricity. Insurance adjusters probably haven't even hit the ground yet. I wouldn't guess. I don't know.
I imagine the ones that they're open up by subdivisions or divisions, or I forget how they have it structured, but probably those areas maybe people showed up to take a look, but it's like a small percent of the area. They're opening by certain sections. So yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if only a handful of adjusters showed up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. So what's up, Mr. Spears? You're a week into your new digs, man. How you liking it?
Hooey, it is an adventure and a half, my friend. Honest to God, like, I mean, I've got some really good estimators within my group that I'm really happy with so far.
Good.
And all, but it's also one of those situations where, I mean, it's one of the situations where it's not so much my estimators that are the hard thing to work with. It's my contractors. We've got a lot of contractors who they're a year, maybe two at the most in the industry. So their paperwork is still, we're small. We don't have the money for Encircle yet. And so we're still paper penning it. And since they're still fresh, they don't know all the things they can charge for. So they don't know what to document on. Sometimes we're not even getting sketches. I mean, it's nothing bad that I can't handle. And I enjoy it because one of my main jobs, besides overseeing the department, is working with the contractors, helping get the paperwork better and all. But it's a challenge, especially like it's one thing when you have the policies and procedures in place and you need the extra guidance like what you do. But when they don't have any of that at all together yet and everything, it's trying to sort it all out and make it work. It can be challenging.
Welcome to my world, man. It's amazing how many contractors get on. Yeah, they just start doing insurance work without a real plan, and they very much make it up as they go along, which is fine. You got to start somewhere, but we as the estimators are stuck in this hard spot where this is not a creative writing exercise, and we don't want to get accused of just writing something because we made it up out of thin air because we assumed it. So if you don't want to assume everything, you've got to give us something. You got to help me help you. I found a new client this week that is still doing hand sketches in the field on grid paper.
Yeah, I got a lot of that.
And and that is fine if the guy is good. But writing a good sketch is really hard. That's one of those skills that as a water lead, just the sketch function took the majority of my time as a water lead, just getting that sketch done.
Well, and I was always the OCD guy, like 1 box equals 1 foot, and you round up or you round down. It has to be the scale and all, because if you give me just draw it out and then give me some measurements, and the measurements don't align with what the shape of the room is, it drove me crazy. But I mean, like I said, we're in a good place. Got more work than we know what to do with, that's for sure. And but on a personal note, I'm super happy because one of my clients that I had thought ghosted me contacted me today, and hadn't ghosted me. He had gotten into a little bit of trouble and had to deal with that. And now he's out of being in trouble. And one of the accounts that we were working on before I came over here looks like it's going to be a green light, and it's 197 roofs in the housing development that he's in the running for to win the bid on. And I'm getting like $300 a roof for it to get the measurements and exactmate so he can order the materials and everything else.
300. Wow, that's a good little contract. That's nice.
And that came out of nowhere. Like, he had owed me like $2,600 since, like, I don't know, May, and I voted on bad debt for the rest of the year.
Right,
and then he's like, no, I don't like owing people money here. Let me just pay it all off right now, and let's continue. I was like, okay, I'll take your money.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, sir.
But yeah, no, like I said, I made a good choice where I'm at and everything, and it sucks not being your own boss no more, by and all. But I have a good strong support.
you're still working remote though. You're not going into an office.
Remote.
Okay.
I mean,
So
occasionally I'll go out, but
all your estimators are distributed.
Arizona, Idaho. I got one in Tennessee, one in Arkansas.
Okay.
But I mean, I'll put it this way here: we have to average to hit our quota each month. We have to average about 8 estimates a day. We're pumping out 500 to 600 a month, and they have a 4-day turnaround time.
Jennifer Marie, you need to click on the link I put right below in the chat. You need to click on the links. What's up, boys? Doing the video. I'll be done soon.
It's an OnlyFans video.
OnlyFans. All right, Jennifer, click on the link. It's right there below your comments on the Facebook. So you'll get in there. You'll figure it out. I believe in you. All right, back to here. Good. Well, what else is happening in the world? We got I had a conversation with a couple of my subcontractors, couple of my estimators. They said, "Hey, where's all the jobs?" And I said, "Well, this is a weird, strange season in that usually by this time of year, we're dealing with the overflow, the carry-on effects from a really bad hurricane season. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have a bad hurricane season this year. And we didn't really have a bad wildfire season this year. The wildfires that we saw were not in the populated areas that they were traditionally in. So I think we're just not a lot of claims happening right now. And it's that weird transition time. This is a slow time. It's like this is one of those shoulder seasons where I think these claims are slow. Are you guys seeing anything? Are you seeing any surge events where you guys are at?
I'm not seeing any real surge events by no means. I mean, the weather's kind of mild across the border right now. We're having no major weather events, so I mean, it's just your day-to-day operational stuff, your little pipe burst, slab leaks, things like that there. I mean, we're not even getting a whole lot of sewer backups or anything. But, like I said, where I'm at, we've got a few contracts with a couple different franchises and stuff. So, I mean, they're supplying us with enough work. But most of the files that we've been handling are, $4,000 to $5,000, $6,000 mitigations or nothing extreme. Mm-hmm. I will say I am happy though because I did a FEMA file right when I came on board here, and when I wrote it out as a standard mitigation file because whenever I do FEMA, I write it as a standard mitigation, delete whatever they won't pay for, and I have to factor it into the price list and everything. Came out $32,000, and the only thing the adjuster said he couldn't pay for was that he couldn't pay for the content manipulation because they didn't have coverage for content. And I was like, that's not like I have to still move it around. But so
you still got to move it.
Yep.
I wrote 32 though, but I think we settled at like 28. So that's a good investment because I think overall for the job. I mean, especially considering that the first person, like the file, when I got the hold of the file the first time, it was only at like $10,000. And I was like, this ain't wrote right, guys. Like it's bad. Like, let me revise this. And they were all kind of like, there's no way you triple the number. There's no way. And I was like, you just wait and see. Just wait.
It's a FEMA methodology. Man, that's just build everything in.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not been a whole lot of anything really going on. Well, I mean,
David Baker says fire and puffback season has started in Northeast. Okay, that makes sense. People are turning on their HVAC system for the first time. They're starting fires for the first time.
Throwing corn cobs in the wood stove to try to clean it out and burning the house down. I did go out on Saturday last week to Cincinnati for one of our little clients. He's like, I've got my first fire. I've done fire and safety, but I've never done a fire job personally yet. And I was like, let me. You're 2 hours away. Let me come out there and I'll document it for you and give you a little guidance there, my friend. I was like, don't just that all the way.
Don't go solo. Do not go solo.
But yeah, I mean, things are going good, and I mean, everybody that I've worked with in the past, has been chugging along. But I mean, they really even still did. I mean, I haven't really even my old clients and stuff haven't really hit me up with anything new coming in for me to carry over. So it's just been slow all around.
So how are you going to handle that when you have a client call you from your old business? You're just going to bring them over into Ribs?
Ribs is going to honor whatever pricing structure I had set up beforehand for them.
Nice.
And so, I mean, that works out good for them. And honestly, our pricing setup, I mean, since I'm the manager, they've kind of given me free reign to, if I feel like I need to revise the plan setup overall, it's my choice. I mean, I can
nice.
Pretty much they're giving me carte blanche to make sure that it can make some money. So that's nice.
Good.
And I mean, I'll leave the big files and the big properties that you deal with. I'll let you handle all them crazy wood shake roofs and everything else. I'll happily handle 600 small little $500 or $5,000 water damages all day long and pump them out. Like it don't bother me one bit. But
I don't have a problem with that.
And I mean, it is though. It's weird. Like I mean, the amount of stuff that
you just said.
Go ahead, Milton.
I have yet, in the time that I've known you, which is a short time, I have yet to see you write a $5,000 claim. So stop.
Don't be capping, son.
I mean, I did take one of the people's files. They had wrote it in Albiware, and it was $8,000. And I was like, let me put this in Xactimate and see where we come out at. And it came out to $15,000. And I was like, that's a much better number there. But I mean, I enjoy it because I'm getting to do what I like, which is train people, both on the estimating side, but I'm getting to train these contractors to do it the right way. These guys don't even know. I mean, they're so green still that they don't even know, like, you can charge for glue-on drywall. They don't know that you can charge for double bagging, so they don't even know to document it. They don't realize, oh, I need to take a picture of the wand on the carpet, pull the carpet, put a picture on the wand as I extract the pad, pull the pad up, extract the hard surface. They're just taking, one picture on the top of the carpet, pulling the carpet pad and calling it good. And I'm like, you guys are just leaving the money behind left and right.
Yeah. Extraction, man. Extraction and protection. Like those are the biggest money makers on MIT. And, I say, I always start. So when it's been a while, but I do the 24-hour tech training on site. And I'll go out to these folks' shop and we'll do 1 day of training in the classroom and 1 day in the field. But I always start the 24-hour tech training by asking folks I have 2 volunteers to go grab me some mastic painter's tape and 2 rolls of plastic. And we time them and they say, all right, put that up. All right, put down and we time them. And the money that you make for 3 9x12 pieces of plastic to cover cabinets, to protect furniture, whatever else, 3 rolls of that, this 9x12, the pre-cut rolls, is a DHU, is a extra large DHU for 1 day. But you don't have to warranty it. When you're done with it, it goes in the garbage. It's the easiest money there is next to extraction.
It's like I've told all these contractors, if you average 4 jobs a week and you do a 4-day dry out for each of those jobs, if you can justify 1 air mover, that's on average. That's about $25,000 to $28,000 depending on your region a year by having your guy carrying in 1 more fan.
Straight down to the bottom.
I'm seeing people undersizing 5, 6 fans, undersizing. I had one that undersized it by like 15 fans. And I mean, I'm like, you're wondering why you're not, you're having trouble sometimes getting paid because you got a 7-day dry out, but you're only at half the amount of air movers. It's frustrating for me because I want to see them succeed and I want them to do good work and I want them not to lose out on money. And like, it does. Like, it's kind of broken my heart a few times where I'm like, I know you've been with us already for a while and you've seen, this is how much money you were getting, but here's where you were losing your money out on and no one was telling you about it. So, in that regard there, I feel like I'm actually doing a good day's work in all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is. I mean, like I said, it's some of these guys. I got one guy that I talked to today. He's the owner. He just bought this one franchise, and he's going out to his first ever water job tonight.
Wow.
I was like, you got my number. If you need help, you got any questions, you call me 24/7.
Now, is he using some technology to support him?
Not yet. No, he can't. I mean, he's never had a job yet. He can't afford to have Encircle yet. And also, I'm trying to at least push him to get like Matterport and iPhone in it for better documentation.
I would argue you can't afford not to have Encircle, but okay. Milton, what's up, man?
Yep. So, fun story, right? About a year ago, I come out of WRT site. I'm ready, played out the water job in my head. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. What's my first job?
Fire.
Back.
What day did we cover that in WRT? Yeah.
My rookie ass ended up. I got paid on it, $32,000. Joe, you would have probably rolled that at 75.
all day.
But I mean, it is. I mean, it just shows even, like I'm blowing people's minds because I'm using just default pricing Xactimate, doing my labor trade changes, changing my supporting events as need be, and we're getting success on these. And a lot of these people have been operating under the assumption I have to go to a custom price list just to make my nut because otherwise I'm going to lose my ass. And it's like, no, you're either not been documenting enough for us to estimate. Or, I got to work with these estimators to understand they're not just data entry. They got to have a working eye. But just doing these little fundamental changes on the estimating side also helps us validate it. I mean, I had one guy that I had to work with because, like I said, they use Albeware, and he was like category 1/2 extraction, but then they had category 3 carpet removal. And I'm like, you got to pick a category here, my friend. Like, you can't just bounce it around. And, I mean, it can be frustrating for everybody, but, I think give me about 6 months working with all these guys here and stuff. And, these companies I'm working with are going to start actually, being some of the premier people in their areas and knocking it out of the park, just like Mr. Milton here does.
I was, so I onboarding a new client for QuickCheck this week, and QuickCheck is way more involved than what I was doing for claims delegates. Claims delegates we were just estimate writing only. In QuickCheck, we're going full stack. But part of their process, they had, I wanted to, it's very important on the front end, I get their SOPs. Okay, how does start me from dispatch all the way through to billing and collection? How does this, A, B, C, D, E? Part of their SOP, when they were done with the MIT, wrote the invoice, their SOP then said, send to adjuster for approval. And I said, okay, are you sending it to your client? No, why would we do that? Okay, so, and I said, well, how long is your average file sitting at that stage? And they said, anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. And I said, and remind me again what your accounts receivable is sitting at? Your aging is over 120 days? And I made them promise me, can we change that today? You were no longer, you can still send it to the adjuster. And their whole thing was, well, what if the adjuster requires changes? And my response was, well, are you putting things in your invoice you didn't do or not justified? Well, no, but the adjuster wants changes. Well, as long as you don't bill your client, that is not, like, they had a weird situation where they were they had earned revenue for jobs that they've done, but they had no bill that existed in their system because they hadn't generated an invoice yet because it was stuck in this send to adjuster stage. And so their books were all kinds of crazy, and I had the COO going, yeah, I don't know, I can't make heads or tails of this. Sometimes, some months it's great, some months it's reversed, and it's weird. And I said, well, because you're not accruing that cost because you're not generating an invoice. And I said, the first thing you need to do is generate that invoice your client, and then go to the adjuster if you feel like it. But that's going to keep your books cleaner than anything else you can do. So, yeah, I could not believe when I was just stunned. Like, wait a minute, You actually have an SOP that says send it to the adjuster and then wait for a response. You are never going to get paid, son. Ever.
Well, not only that there, but like, I mean, all states send it to their IT department. You know, on the reconstruction side, an all-state adjuster has 14 days to issue some form of payment for a reconstruction side of an estimate. But the mitigation, the IT department has 45 days to even assign the file and start reviewing it. So if you're waiting for the adjuster, you're already, on an all-state job, you're already going to be at 45 days before you can.
You're a month on, and
Mhm.
you've already paid that mitigation technician. You've already incurred all the material. You've already incurred all the costs, but you can't recognize that revenue until you actually generate an invoice. And you can't really be charging. You can't start charging late fees on an invoice that doesn't exist.
Yep.
You know, so in your mind, it's 45 days late, but in the client's mind, they don't even know they owe you money. So, woof, I couldn't believe it. But it's SOPs. You have to have a system for everything, not just how you're going to write a sketch, but a system for everything in your business, and that's going to help you so much down the road. But I don't know. I
I'll
don't
use
know
that.
how. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So I've been using Trainual.com.
Mm-hmm.
Really good program, and you can get creative with it. You can screen record, and I've been just trying to keep up with the documentation of building my SOPs and my everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a tech buff, so I love everything with technology, and it's been great. It's just dealing with the business owner / operator. It's been a little crazy handling all the hats that I wear, but I try to stay consistent with that. And Trainual.com, it's so great.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
that
I had
will
to
enable
plug that
you
in.
to onboard people below you, new technicians
Yes,
and new employees. That shortens their learning curve, and it takes you out of the role of having to train every single person and keep all those SOPs in your head. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Trainual. I like it.
yes, I love it.
Now, what do you got, Rob? What do you got in place for training and SOPs?
Did you ask me?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So a lot of the protocols, everything else, I have written down and on sheets. Still developing some of it, but a lot of it I do myself. I'm not quite big enough to pass it on to other persons, but I'm putting it in place, and so when I do get bigger, that I have that able to pass off that workload. But I haven't used Trainual or Trainual or anything like that, but I know there's a lot of technology out there that makes life a little bit easier.
There's all kinds.
Hey, Rob, it pays itself. Look into
Yeah,
it.
it really does. Yeah, it pays for itself. Much like my services. So people always ask, well, $165 an hour, man. If I annualize my guys, I'm paying my guys $50 an hour. And what they don't see is they see me as a cost and their guys as a cost, where I am a revenue generating machine. And you're going to get a 5 to 10x return on the dollars you spend with me versus the dollars you spend with an employee in-house. But you've got to be willing to spend that money in order to see that return. And some guys it's harder than others to get over the hump there.
Costs money to make money.
It really does. It really does.
And I
Someone
mean,
says, "How do you spell it?" How do you spell it? Trainual, train, UAL, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, trainual.com. Yeah,
It's like training and manual put together.
Well, that's the thing is, yeah, you can pay somebody in house $50, an hour, or $52,000 a year, whatever you want. all day long. But you usually, when you're hiring those people in, they're new to the industry. They're new to estimating. They don't have a lot of experience. And when you're paying the higher rates with like Andy or when I was doing and everything, you're not paying for an average writer. You're paying for that extra service that comes along with that experience, with that knowledge, with knowing how to utilize the program, with the, effectively being a consultant as well as an estimator. And I mean, it is for a lot of people, it seems like a lot of money, but once you get, the first file, Milton will tell you right now, the first file that I wrote, he was like, there's no way. And I was like, yeah, you'll be good, man. And since then, like Milton here, he's still on the TPA and he freaking I'm pretty sure he's going to get himself fired from one here soon because he keeps finding every loophole he can. But I mean, once you learn the system and stuff, you can go off on your own. But, I'm sure with Milton, when he's ready to hire somebody, if they say, I've only got a year or two experience, he's going to be like, I'm going to have to babysit you a whole bunch then, aren't you?
Getting fired from a TPA is not a bad thing. At all. Fire me,
It's
please.
fun. It's fun. I've always lived by the mantra, show me the rules, and I will eventually learn them well enough to use them against you.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That is right.
And, just like everybody, we always tell everybody, insurance, because the insurance carriers make the contract up. It's if there's anything ever ambiguous about coverage or what should or shouldn't be, they have to err on the side of the homeowner.
It's interpreted in the favor of the homeowner and the insured. Yep.
And Milton uses that same mentality and that same terminology. Well, it doesn't say I can't do this, so that's why I'm going to do it this way. And I've shown him some tricks on writing the estimates where he's used that there, and I'm pretty sure they want to spit in your cereal after your emails and all. But I mean,
it's not expressly prohibited. It is.
Well, that's my favorite thing is on some TPAs, like it says you have to use the default price list. Cool, but I'm going to change the trade to show that everybody's a water tech for the water job. Well, you can't do that. Show me where it says in the TPA I can't use Xactimate in the intended application.
I'm using the price list. I'm not changing the price list.
I pushed that one incident all the way up to the top in an unmentioned carrier. All the executives had their heads spinning and couldn't figure out what to do, and they keep bumping it up a level above and a level above because I just use their guidelines and I quote them the page number and the paragraph where it says specifically talks about the price list and being default, but nowhere on there does it say you can't change the trade. And
or the one reporting event.
Yep, and I use this
or the yields. Yep.
One of their representatives told me, and I quote, and I've quoted him to his bosses above him, saying, what he told me was 90% of the our vendors don't use it. And I told him, well, that's because 90% of your vendors don't know how to use Xactimate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting about that, you just look at like the Xactimate certificates, and there's statistics there that only 2% of all Xactimate users actually have a certificate, even a level one certificate. That that takes and it does take effort to go through the training and take the class. It's not that hard once you've done Xactimate for a while, but like I hear all the time like, oh well, you're only like level one certificate or you're only level two certificate, and it's like, well, yeah, but considering that 2% of the whole population of Xactimate is even certified, I mean, I'm above the other person,
That's why level 3, Andy, we are legal experts allowed to testify as legal experts. We outweigh everyone.
Speak for yourself. I never took the test.
But
I took the class but never took the test.
That's like, I have one adjuster, we didn't get into it the other day because the whole project was done after hours, right? They have plenty of after hours demo line items, but they don't have after hours clean stud or after hours HEPA. So what did I do? I put an F9 on that says market conditions increased to reflect after hours charges, and then I took the labor rate and I just 0.5'd it and added it into the market conditions to apply for after hours rate. And this adjuster lost his mind. Like he was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I've never seen anyone do that." And I'm like, "Well, how do you suggest I charge for this being an after hours?" Well, no one does that. I was like,
I just did.
just because someone's never done it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It means that it's like one of my friends said, "I'm not good at Xactimate. It's just there's a lot of people out there that are bad at it." And and I mean, I'm still learning to this day, but there are a lot of things in the program: the trade changes, the supporting events, adjusting the components, the direct yields, the market conditions. The Xactimate just tells you to do all this, but it just goes over most people's head, I feel like, or they just don't. I mean, people like us in the group here, we have a God-given ability to enjoy arguing and pissing people off. And
well, that's what it is. You have to have a willingness to go to the mat on these things.
Yeah.
And most people just don't. Most people are like, I don't want to fight for this. And if I do this, that means I'm going to have to fight for it, which means I'm not going to do it. Well, I like money. I'm willing to fight for money. Money makes me happy. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Jay, I saw your pictures on LinkedIn earlier today about snow in Montana already. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I believe that. I lived in Montana for like 3 years, and usually by Halloween, you got your first snow. So it's right around the corner.
Yep, right.
I never looked back after that. Too much snow.
Then you went to Maui. Yeah, I mean, Montana's cold. I grew up, we spent some time in Wyoming, and Wyoming is cold. It is just, the winters are so long and stark and cold. I could summer in Montana, but probably not winter. Yeah,
summer's beautiful, but yeah, winter, it's that bone aching cold.
It is. Now, Bend gets a little bit cold. It gets so cold that some of the newer DR Horton track home developments, they don't have hose bibs on the exteriors. The hose bibs are in the garage, on the inside wall of the garage, because so it can get cold here. Let's see here. Let's see what Cora says here. Art of contraction negotiation. Everyone said I should have been an attorney growing up. Well, that's nothing. Okay, that's nothing of restoration. I think she's talking about what we were just talking about. If it isn't expressly prohibited, then I'm going to do it. And then make you tell me why I can't. And Jay says, yeah, it is freaking cold.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting too about, like I've talked to other contractors, and like some of them were just afraid to even like charge like certain things on their estimates. Like, oh, well, the adjusters never approved that. And it's like, well, they're never going to approve it unless you put it in front of them, like.
Yeah. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Like, cause I mean, you have, the whole house floods. If you have no bathroom, you have nothing else, put a porta potty and a hand washing station. It's like, well, what happens if I don't use it or anything else? Well, you're putting out like for the repair side that usually you're gonna have to get an approved scope anyhow, prior or a signed contract with the owner to move forward, however you're gonna do it. But like you put it on there, they approve it, and you can do whatever you want to do at that point. You have your bag of money, you can put it for how you want. But obviously your guys need to use the restroom somewhere, so you got to figure that out.
Well,
yeah, I had Allstate adjuster tell me this week that they wouldn't pay for a porta potty. And I said, all right, is it okay? You're going to pay. Are you going to pay to clean the insured's bathroom every day? Because these workers are not clean people, and they got to go poo, somewhere.
Well, I always go with the whole, well, I got a lady on my crew, and so I got to make.
I need two. Because you're required, OSHA, for one for men, one for female.
But I mean. It is. I mean, it's, here's the mentality that I always have is, I mean, I don't write fluff as in like, I know I'm just going to write this in here just to take it off. I don't do that. I don't believe in that. And I don't think anyone should ever be putting fluff in with the intention of this is just something I'm going to take off.
No, I think that's just filthy. Yeah, and it's
But
dishonest at its core.
I have no problem. I would much rather write a full estimate, knowing I'm probably going to get argued over it and everything at the end of the day. But it be at 20,000 and end up at 15, than to start at 15 and end up at 10. And that's and I mean, it's a game. I know, Andy, you love saying bill the homeowner, balance bill them for the difference and everything, and that's fine, Danny, if you want to do that. If you don't, it's your choice. Business decisions all day long. But if you're not accounting for everything you did and putting a good justification in for everything you did, I guarantee you, on average, you're going to be losing out on at least 10 to 20% of what you could have charged on the job.
It's easier to start at a high number and go down than start on a low number and go up every day of the week.
I'm not gonna lie. I totally, since I've been at RIB, I've went through some of the old estimates, and they're like, my claims people are like, "Oh, we're having issues getting this approved." I'm like, "Let me take a look at it," and I'm like, "Here, I cleaned it up. Here, send this back to them and see what they say." And I actually went up like $2,000, and I'm like, and they're like, "This guy's really
like, oh, I liked your first number."
Yeah, our first number will be good. Otherwise, let's argue this one.
Yeah,
that actually happened on a file that Joe did for me.
They went up.
They bounced it back. I sent it out. I did it myself, and they bounced it back for nonsense. I said, no problem. Hey, Joe, can you do this file? It went up double. I just got paid on it. Joe, I gotta remind me to show you that.
Which job was it?
The puff back in the cabin.
Oh, nice.
I am of the opinion that if you're going to force me to go back and review my estimate, I am going to review my estimate, good, bad, or indifferent. I had one this week that they had a laundry list of objections, remove, and my part of my email was thank you for forcing me to go take a look at this. What started at 120 is now sitting at $174,000.
Yeah. Yeah, you go back and start critiquing it, and you're like, "Wait, I forgot this. I forgot this. Oh, I only did the perimeter ceiling instead of the perimeter feet. Yeah. I need to put some protection on those contents."
Oh, and here are the things you wanted me to remove. Okay, I removed all those things, but then I found all these other things.
We got one of those there. There's a file that's a little bit older, trying to finish on, and it's like a $3.4 million project, and the adjuster's trying to come in at 1.7, and I was like, give me like a week to look at this file here, and then let's resubmit and see what they're like, I don't know if that's a good idea, Joe. Like, we've seen what you've been doing already. Like, I can't imagine what would happen here. I was like, just tell them, hey, we had our new manager look at this and scrub it. Here's where it's at. Do you want to argue this here, or do you want to just go ahead and pay us our original number? Because I'm probably going to blow it out of the water in validness.
Yeah, the stupid assumption is that every file review is going to move the needle downwards. Why assume that? The file review is a file review. You got to look at the whole thing, not just looking for things to take away. That being said, I have never had an adjuster review a file and come back and tell me something that I missed that I could charge for.
Exactly.
Not once. I
have one adjuster that's my friend, because I live in my bubble world, Andy.
Yes, you do.
But she straight up, I mean, not only did she send me adjusters or clients because she was like, this guy has no clue what he's doing, help him out, but she was notorious about, I don't feel like dealing with a bunch of supplements at the end of the job. Like, if the contractor wanted $2,000, I write out it's $4,000. I'm going to go ahead and say, look, homeowner, I think your contractor doesn't know what, and they're going to try to come back for money. This job needs to be at $4,000. So here you go on your ACV. And lo and behold, they try to come back, and she's like, I've already paid out on all that there. Get out of my face. I was like, you're the adjuster that everyone wants. And the fact that you still have a job is amazing to me. There's good adjusters out there. There really are.
Yeah, sure.
But it's the old one. It's the ones that have 10 plus years experience. Anybody, most of these adjusters, 60-70% of the adjusters nowadays have less than 3 or 4 years experience. Like, that's the biggest hurdle is you're dealing with people that have never done the work. They've never done reconstruction. They have less than a year or two experience even being an adjuster, and they're trying to tell you what something cost.
Yeah. Rob, you had something to say?
Well, I was just gonna say that it's absolutely true. Like I've known a couple really good older adjusters, and like I'll write my estimate, they'll write theirs, they'll write a complete separate scope, and they won't even share it with me. And they're like, all right, are you sure you can do it for that amount of money? They're like, yep, all right, approved. Done. Easy, file closed. And sometimes the clients will show me that's been in there, within a couple $100 difference or anything else. But like, yeah, I mean, most, there's a lot of, there are some good adjusters, but and with a lot of the other companies, there's a lot of bad adjusters as well, especially the ones that haven't been in the role very long and just don't know. And they're going through a punch list of things to cut.
Yep. That's all they have. They don't have a punch list of things to add. They have a punch list of things to cut. That's all.
And that's what I tell everybody. Your initial estimate is to, for reconstruction, fires, and all that. Your initial estimate is to establish the ACV value. Write it, if you write it based on, you're going to have to write it basically and argue against the company guidelines for whatever carrier you're fighting against. Mm-hmm. But when you get on the backside and you final invoice it, most of those company guidelines will disappear magically, and they'll approve it on the back end. But as a preliminary ACV check cut, they will push it to the limits on what those guidelines say. Mm-hmm. And and it is, like I tell everybody, it's a game. I mean, for anybody watching this, if you cut drywall out, go ahead and estimate to do a texture patch in. We all know it's going to look like shit and it ain't going to look right. But do it, and before you paint, let your homeowner see it and say, I can tell you tried your best, but it still looks like shit. Call your adjuster up. They will happily pay you to do it, to scrape the whole ceiling then and redo the whole thing if you at least try to do it their way first and it fails. Yeah. And I mean, I get a lot of success out of that.
I hate that. It's just fundamentally, I am taking reconstruction guidance from an adjuster. That's just backwards. Just backwards. What's up, son?
I thought that was Casper the Ghost walking out back there. You see how white that boy is? Jeez.
Yeah. He's so white. Boy, we need some tan. Jesus. We got to send him to Hawaii to tan up a little bit.
But, I understand that mentality. Like, I hate playing that game. And, it's a waste of time. You got to pay for a second trip. But, I'm going to bill for it. But, it is. A lot of times I tell people, like, let's just try it their way. And if it don't work, if you're happy with it, great. Everyone will be happy. But if it don't work, let's go ahead. You want me to clean the carpet? I'll clean the carpet. Like our user here says, I'll clean the carpet. It still looks like shit. I told you it was going to look like shit from the get-go, but I tried it, and now let's go ahead and replace it.
And you're charging to clean it, and you're charging to replace it.
Yep.
It's not like you're giving back the money to clean it. So, yeah, I could get behind that.
I mean, it's just like on mitigation, though. I have no problem. I know that as soon as I walk in, the floor's shot. Hardwood floor. Yep. I'll mat it. I'm going to give it 2 or 3 days, see if it dries out, sir. Third day, it's still reading wet. Hey, do you want us to go another 2 days on this dry out with the mat system, or should we go ahead and tear it out? Give it another day, and then if it's still reading wet, go ahead and tear it out. Okay, you're going to pay me for the mat for 4 days now, and I'm still going to tear it out.
That's so stupid. It's so much money and time wasted.
I will play that game all day long. Like, you want me to try to dry it and then tear it out anyways and not trust the expert that I know what I'm talking about?
Job security.
So, but I've had adjusters really get mad. Like, well, you dried it for 5 days and then you tore it out anyway? Well, I don't want to pay for that. And, so I've had it the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's why I'm always proactive. Day 3, hey, do you want me to do it for another day or 2, or should I go and tear it out? I gave it a good 3 days, and it's not responded. It might not. I don't know. But what do you want? What would you like us to do? Which one is going to be better for your pocketbook at this point? Because either way, I'm going to make some more money on this file here because it ain't ready to be done yet. And I mean, I always try to be preemptive. That's like the only time I communicate with the adjusters is, hey, I'm doing this here and we've tried it for a few days. Should we continue doing this, do you think, or should we stop? Or, hey, this is our game plan. We're going to pull all these cabinets out and have a contractor come out and detach the granite countertop.
But
unless
guess
you want
what?
us to float it.
You do live in a bubble world because I can't pick up the phone and get an adjuster to pick it up. I can't get an adjuster on the phone.
I'll leave them voicemail. If I don't hear back from you within 24 hours, I'll assume your silence is an agreement, and I'm going to continue with my game plan. So you better call me and tell me to change it, or else I'm going this route. I do that all the time. If I don't hear
Like
back
a
from you,
squirrel.
I will proceed with this game plan. You have 24 hours to let me know.
Local adjusters will answer your phone here, but yeah, the bigger companies when they're on the mainland, yeah, it's like good luck, especially the time difference. They'll be in Texas or who knows where, and you don't call them before 10 a.m. You're not getting a hold of them.
Yeah, because 10 a.m. for you. What time is it there for you right now? Like
3:30,
and it's 9:30 at night for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been doing this long enough. I don't have a problem playing the game because I've learned how to play the game on my terms. But
Sure.
it's hard sometimes. Sometimes it is hard. I mean, Milton will tell you, hey, why didn't you just go ahead and do this here? Because we were acting in the best interest of your client and trying to salvage their floors and so they can be sanded. It didn't work, or the stuff that I have to deal with at times that, stresses me out is like when a client, we did in-place drying. All we had to do was pull a pad and we did in-place drying. But then I look at a photo and they got that compressed particle board underlayment on top of the subfloor. And you already know, no matter what, it's just going to, it's like, I don't care how much in-place drying you want to do to minimize reconstruction, tear it out on the mitigate, go ahead and tear it out. Like,
Yep. How many people are doing in-place drying these days? I feel like that was a fad, but that kind of went away.
I mean, there's a few people, but I mean, it's all in, just like we always say, it's all in the onboarding, Mr. Homeowner. I can have this dry in 3 to 4 days, but I'm going to tear your house apart doing it. Or I might be in here for 9 or 10 days, but your reconstruction is going to be very minimal. Which one do you want? And even when you try to do that, though, the insurance losing mind. I can't believe I'm paying for 9 days of DUs. I mean, sometimes it works. Sometimes, even if you did dry it all in place, you're still going to have to tear the cabinets out because the side panels are now swollen anyways. But you try to do what's best for the homeowner to keep them in a standard of living they're used to. And it's just making sure that you're onboarding your clients the right way. You can get success out of it. But yeah, I hate in-place drying. Like, at least,
it's just problematic. It's problematic.
You know what I hate the most? You know what I hate more than anybody? You mitigation people, and I'm talking to whoever I need
you
that
people.
do the 4-inch below the baseline flood cut.
That's horrible.
Flood cut at 2 foot, 24 and a half inches, 48 and a half inches.
What's funny?
8 foot out. Like,
the WTR doesn't even teach 4-inch. I'm not even sure why it's even an exactimate. Like, but I've seen it. I pulled baseboards and been like, what the heck?
Well, because you cut a little baseboard, they have oversized baseboard. They can just throw the baseboard up and there's no more demo.
So there's no dry. They don't even replace the drywall.
No, I mean, if I ever have a house with a basement in it, I'm gonna get 1x6 boards as my baseboard, and I'm gonna have the drywall stop 4 inches from the ground, so I can have a good 4-inch flood. And all I gotta do is pop the baseboards off before I have to demo anything. But there's a lot of people that want to cut it out at 4 inches, and I'm like, if I was the drywaller, I would hurt somebody today.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who don't understand a 2-foot flood cut is 24 and a half inches, and they cut it put that tape measure on the ground. They cut it perfectly at 24, and the drywaller has to come back in and shave it off half inch.
All right, so here's a LinkedIn user says they do it all the time. So in-place drying. Okay, yeah, maybe it's regional. Oh.
Yeah, over here, I know one guy who does. He's a carpet cleaner, and he does in-house drying, and he'll just baseboard attachment holes, and that's all they do. If it gets anything more serious, then they have a mitigation company come in. But I think they're looking for the low hanging fruit. All that dry time days, and if they can't correct it, then they pass it on.
Right. Yeah. And then they're like, done. All right, we're out. We did what we could.
We tried it. We didn't work. Have someone else come rip it out. We don't do rip outs or tear outs.
Tear outs.
Yep.
But I mean, the thing is, like, if you're just setting your equipment and that's it, in-place drying won't work. Your stuff can't breathe. You got to take the baseboards off. You've got to have a hose system and duct air and
create air movement. Yeah.
Do cavity drying and stuff. And you can save a lot of it, but I mean, at the same time, That's only if the loss was a category 1, because category 2 still contains significant contaminations as opposed to grossly contaminated. So why would you dry it in place, in my opinion, anyways? You know, I mean, when are you? I mean, we always can get a category 1 source, but how often is the loss a category 1 loss?
Less often than the adjusters want to tell us.
That's why adjusters will argue,
sure.
Well, the source was a clean source. Yeah, I agree with you, sir. But due to the conditions and the environment of the home, when that clean water hit the ground, do you think it was contaminated at all, or do you think it stayed perfectly healthy?
You can also drink your own pee. Sorry.
Mr. Adjuster, do you know that you can drink your own pee, but do you?
All right. On that note, it's 6:30 my time. I'm going to try very hard to get this actually scheduled, so there's invitations that go out, or at least so we can plan for this, so I'm not making it up every single week. Okay, there we go. Somebody's picking up what I'm laying down right there.
It's sterile, and I like the taste.
So yeah, next Wednesday, 5:30 Pacific, Restoration Rebel Roundtable. I think this is working. It's our second week in a row on StreamYard. I don't know about you all, but I like it. It's I think it lays out better, and
I think
your
it works
computer's
easy
not
to get in.
crashing 5 seconds into the show every time now, so that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah, every time I do the Zoom, I have to like log into the Zoom commercial account. All
such a pain in the ass. Yeah.
It was
all
easy
right,
to
never
get in.
good. All right. Hey boys, good to see you. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Everybody be good.